Connections. I'm Yvette Broussard. Our guest today was a newcomer to politics just a few years ago, back in 2007, and now that state representative has moved up to become a state senator. We're talking about, of course, Democrat Darren Soto from Orlando. Thank you so much for being with us today. Okay, let's talk a little bit about you.
Sure.
Looking at your life, your style, you're a lawyer, so you're used to being on the floor, making a good argument for yourself and what you stand for. Do you think you'll have the same style when you start your career in the Senate?
Absolutely. In the House, I'd always used technical legal arguments when it was important and used sort of soliloquies and poems and wisdom when that was important. But the one thing I always heard is that I wasn't partisan enough for the House, that I always talked about uniting everybody rather than really casting a lot of stones, and that style I think will work well in the Senate. So other than the fact that the Senate is not as aggressive, it's more collegial. I think in general, the style I've used for the past 5.5 years is going to fit very well there.
Watching you sometimes on the floor is very interesting because there's a lot of older people around you who are the elected officials, and I see you holding your microphone and you're making your point, and you see some of the faces. It's kind of refreshing actually, because they possibly could be a little jaded. They've been around this for many, many years, and you're like the new kid on the block, semi-new kid on the block, looking at them going, hey, wait a minute, hear me out here. We can work this out together.
Right, and I learned it very early on in the committee process. Because I had a law degree, a lot of folks didn't feel the need to be parental with me in the very beginning, say, oh, no, Representative, you don't understand the law, you can't do that. So that has helped out, but I also attributed a lot of it to my style. I often bring in historical references, poems, and other things, and the reason being is that as the loyal opposition, they always hear people yelling and complaining and criticizing, and I've always felt like if you do that, no one's paying attention to you anyway. There's constant
just white noise.
Yeah, images in the House of someone yelling and no one's paying attention. So I tried to, from an early time period, utilize interesting references, first to just get people's attention, and then have sort of the moral of the story at the end of it of what I think we should do, and I found a lot of folks to be receptive.
And it works. I mean, some of the Republicans around town, they would say, oh, yeah, we talked with Darren Soto. He hears us out, so I've heard that, just so you know, from other folks. Let's talk about just that, working across the aisle. The Republican supermajority up in Tallahassee, not there anymore, but do you see from the little bit, because of course it's the end of the year, the willingness there to engage, to participate?
I see definitely more of a willingness. Only time will tell, but I can tell you first, we will only enforce the rules where it's very necessary. We must maintain negotiations. Second, we saw the election. They sent back in the federal government a Democratic president but a Republican Congress. And here, while some Democrats won, it's still a Republican majority. So I think the message is clear that the voters want us to work together. And in the speeches of the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House, they both took a much more bipartisan, conciliatory tone. So I'm hopeful that that will continue through the session when we look at education funding and dealing with the healthcare exchanges, among some other pretty big issues, and hopefully that bipartisanship will take hold where feasible.
Big issues, red button issues, controversial issues that everybody is going to, they can't forget about it because it's not going away anytime soon. We'll get to the healthcare and the other topics in just a moment. As a state representative, you stayed very, very busy when I was looking up your information. The Civil Justice Subcommittee, you served in the following: the Judiciary Committee, the Justice Appropriations Subcommittee, the K-20 Innovation Subcommittee, and you sponsored a street racing bill. It's too early. Obviously, you just got sworn in, just got started here, so you haven't been committed yet to any committee or subcommittee?
I actually got a call from the president this morning about my committee assignments, and they'll be going online later on today, but I will continue to be serving on Judiciary as the vice chairman. I'll also be on civil and criminal justice appropriations.
Okay.
So generally my specialty of courts, civil law, issues dealing with real estate and corporations and business and things like that. But I'll also be sitting on a couple new committees. Most interestingly is the Select Committee on the Affordable Care Act. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what compromise could be made to determine whether the state will adopt exchanges.
Okay, let's talk about transportation. I mean, I don't care just what any time of the day. It seems like I-4 is just gridlock. In the morning, in the afternoon, high-speed rail, Sunrail, the stations are being built. The Sunrail stations, you see them around town. There's one down Orange Avenue near Sound Lake Road. Part of a district covers this massive project. How do you see it moving forward? Because, you know, the money always seems to be the question.
Well, first, as you may look in the history, I was there to push this project through because at the time, my House district had 3 stops. Now, with the Senate district, there are 4 stops. So this is critical. Our first job is to make sure it's completed on time and on budget. When you look at Phase 1, hits some of the stops on the east side in the just south of the airport in Meadowwoods area. But we have, in 2016, Kissimmee and Poinciana coming online. So we'll have to make sure that's on budget. But the grander vision is we also have to deal with connecting potentially to the airport and to potentially this for-profit high-speed rail that may be going down to Miami. I'd also like to see east-west connections eventually, 528, 408. But first we have to see this project through, and then a stable funding source is going to be the real question. Certainly I'm open-minded to ideas, but I'm also going to be working with local governments to determine what may be the best.
Okay, listen, perfect spot to stop for just a moment. We'll continue our conversation here. More with State Senator Darren Soto from Orlando when Political Connections returns right after a quick break. Stay with us.
The next time you